Hellmuth wins the championship. So Phil gets...
How can a man be this good and this annoying at the same time? He's the poker world's biggest winner and its biggest crybaby all rolled into one. This is Phil Hellmuth. But what if I told you that the reason people hate him might actually be why they can't stop watching him? Love him or hate him, Phil Hellmuth is the kind of guy who turns poker tables into reality shows. He's got 17 World Series of Poker bracelets, more than anyone in history, but also has more televised meltdowns than any other player alive. You'll see him berating opponents, calling people idiots,
idiot player,
and then smiling for the camera 5 seconds later. But the more outrageous he gets, the more the poker world pays him. Why? That's the love-hate paradox of the poker brat. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why Phil Hellmuth might secretly be a genius.
Phil Hellmuth Jr. We talked to both about their...
Phil Hellmuth is one of those names everyone in poker knows. Really, the guy is a walking highlight reel with killer timing and a trophy case that most players could only dream about. But what's the real reason people roll their eyes at him? We'll get to that in a bit. First, let's do a quick background. Phil was born in Madison, Wisconsin in 1964. During his days at Madison West High School, things didn't really go well for him. You see, he was bad with grades and friends at the time. He even called himself the ugly duckling of the family. Yep, the poker brat didn't always have the winning hand. And then, when he got into the University of Wisconsin-Madison, he got into playing a lot of cards. Phil saw that he was good at what he did, and did what any overly confident 20-something-year-old might do. He dropped out of college to play poker full-time, and guess what? It paid off faster than you can say Hellmuth. Then, in 1989, at just 24 years old, Phil took down the World Series of Poker main event. He beat the defending champion Johnny Chan, who happened to be a huge upset at the time, and became the youngest main event winner in history.
And there it is. Hellmuth wins the championship. So Phil gets the money, the gold bracelet, but perhaps best of all...
That record stood for years, and that final table was one of those you-had-to-be-there moments that skyrocketed his reputation. If you ask anyone about Phil Hellmuth, they'll probably tell you the same thing. He's a loud, overly confident player who always has something to say. Some even say he has a tendency to make bold and sometimes controversial statements at the poker table. Simply put, Phil has a temper almost as famous as his poker skills.
Did I play the hand? How good did I play the hand? Of course I play the fucking hand like a genius. That's what I do. An idiot. What the f***, man? I mean, that's why they bring in some sucker businessman.
Whenever he loses a big hand or gets unlucky, he doesn't hide it. He lets it out, sometimes even cursing at the table. That fiery attitude is exactly how he got his nickname, the Poker Brat.
Image as a player's poker brat.
I even made a video only focusing on his worst rage moments, if you want to check it out. But despite his rants and tantrums at the poker table, Phil's burning personality leaves you with a few cold, hard facts that make you stop and pay attention. Get this, Phil holds the record for the most World Series of Poker bracelets, about 17 and counting, and that's poker's top measure of tournament success. He's also one of the only players to win World Series of Poker bracelets across 5 different decades. You can't call that luck. And if you check in with live tournaments, you will see that Phil's career cashes put him in the top tier earners with over $30 million to his name. Winning the main event made him famous, while also winning dozens of other events, including the World Series of Poker Europe main event in 2012 and multiple bracelets in years after that.
Okay, thank you.
So you see, Phil isn't a one-hit wonder, and he would go on to win big events in 2012, 2015, 2018, 2021, it keeps going.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's on fire at this year's WSOP. Please welcome to the stage, for the 16th time in his career, the winner of the 1,500 buy-in, deuce to 7, no-limit draw, low-ball event. Ladies and gentlemen, Phil Hellmuth.
Now, remember when I mentioned Phil was nicknamed the Poker Brat? Well, we'd have to take a look at when this cool, humble champion actually became a character. Alright, let's lean into the chaos. On TV, the life of poker is the tension it brings, and you can trust Phil to bring it like a headline act. Phil was the drama, And it started with a few sharp words after a bad beat, then graduated into a loud disagreement about the floor manager's decision, then full-on rant territory after losing a huge pot. But the thing is, the cameras loved it. One iconic pattern had Phil exploding after a run of bad luck or what he seed as a disrespectful play. One of the best examples happened on Poker After Dark, that NBC show where top pros battled it out. So here's what happened. Phil was in the middle of a hand after Annie Duke raised him, and he asked everyone at the table, including Sean Sheehan, Steve Zolotow, Gus Hansen, and Huck Seed, to stop talking while he made his move.
Sean, would you please mind this time? Please be quiet.
They actually did, for a second. But the moment Phil started talking again, Huck Seed fired back with, "Please be quiet so I can talk."
So 4,000 more, huh?
Please be quiet so I can talk.
That one line made the entire table crack up, and everyone was laughing, except Phil. And of course, Phil didn't take it well. He got furious, threatening to quit the show entirely, and even walked off the set. Eventually, the producers calmed him down and got him back to the table, only for him to get eliminated a few hands later by none other than Sheehan, one of the same guys he told to shut up earlier. You can't script an irony that good. Even Annie Duke, who had stayed quiet through the whole scene, later said Phil's reaction was one of the biggest overreactions I had ever seen. And over time, this collection of meltdowns created a new persona, the Poker Brat, which I like to call part legend, part baby. One minute he's the guy yelling, "Idiots from Northern Europe!" and storming off camera because someone dared to call his bluff.
And roaming.
5-7. Idiot from Northern Europe.
Idiot from Northern Europe, Phil.
Call the race with 5-7. Mother guy.
That was the idiot from Northern Europe versus the Renaissance man from Western America.
Not gonna lie, his meltdowns became must-see TV clips, with Phil losing it on high-stakes poker and the big game. Other pros have commented too. Daniel Negreanu once called him entertaining, while others flat out say he's unbearable to play with. You see, part of the fun, and the frustration, actually comes from how other pros react. Guys like Antonio Esfandiari have traded jokes and jabs with Phil on camera, sometimes friendly, sometimes salty. But those interactions are what make the life of the drama. Sometimes it's not only about Phil losing his cool, it's a live performance between competitors.
I'm not in the hands, so I could give a less what you got.
Yeah, but
I'm just hoping you get felted, that's all.
Well, this is going
And I'm
to
hoping I do
be
it.
a very, very big pot.
This is so
I think.
painful for
I'm
me,
predicting.
I swear. It's just, I'd rather be at the dentist.
Are we gonna close up on something? He said, "This is so painful here. I'd rather be at the dentist."
And other times, I think we can blame Phil and his explosive temper. Some pros even intentionally poke fun at him, but that tension between this is annoying and this is entertaining is the main drive. Daniel Negreanu and other top players have been both critics and co-stars in Hellmuth's biggest TV moments. These dudes have made it their life's mission to mock him, bait him, and also benefit from the entertainment value the clash creates.
He's going to freak.
King high.
He's gonna freak.
This coupled with the other
He's
hand.
gonna freak.
Called 70 dimes. Queen 5.
Explosion coming.
3, 2, 1, blast off.
I don't know what you could have to call the raise and just fire. That was weird. I thought you were gonna lay that one down, brother.
Nice hand, buddy.
Nice hand, buddy. Where's my blow up?
You gotta admit, people laugh because Phil's reactions are worth it. The timing, his facial expressions, and the smug follow-ups are all meme-worthy. But the thing is that even when players mock him, they still want him on the show. Why? Because Phil Hellmuth equals ratings. Over time, viewers did get exhausted. When the same emotional pattern repeats from the tilt to the rant, the apology, rinse and then repeat, some fans stop seeing vulnerability and start seeing a character performing the same beat. And that's how laughter becomes mockery. The everybody's laughing except Phil moment is the visible result of that. So that brings us to the heart of it, the hate paradox. Like, why do people hate him so much but still can't get enough of him? You're about to find out. So the exact same moments that make people roll their eyes at Phil are the ones that send views through the roof. And that contradiction of people booing him while also clicking every clip is what I call the hate paradox. Both people that don't like him and the ones that can't stop watching him are guilty of it. It's like trying to look away from a car crash while also reaching for popcorn. We'll get into that in a second. But first, let's start with how the clips slowly spread across. Phil's blow-ups are usually short, loud, and definitely clip-worthy. These days, we have people stitching them into compilations, GIF sites turning them into reaction images, and then there's also YouTube and TikTok that piggyback them into usable content, so it's like those moments never die. If you want proof, there are years of best of and meltdown compilations that show the same beat over and over, and that's how Phil made himself a walking meme, literally. In another case, during the 2008 main event, Phil had a famous blow-up where he called another player an idiot from Northern Europe.
And roaming.
5'7". Idiot from Northern Europe.
Then, let's not forget day 5 of the biggest poker tournament in the world. With millions on the line and cameras rolling, Phil gets dealt ace-king, one of the best starting hands in poker. He raises big, confident as ever. Then, Christian Dragomir decides to call Phil's raise with 10-4 suited, a hand that most pros wouldn't even touch. The flop comes 9, 10, and 7 of spades. And after Dragomir bets, Phil folds his ace-king. Not a bad fold, honestly, until Dragomir decides to show his cards. Phil realizes the guy called his pre-flop raise with 10-4, and that's when the poker brat mode fully kicked in.
This idiot guy over here.
That was uncalled for.
Suit or something. 10-4, baby.
Phil is stunned.
This is how I lose my money to some idiot.
I show ace-king and fold.
He's now said idiot 2 times too many.
Phil starts going off, calling Dragomir an idiot among other names. He just kept hammering him, venting his frustration in the classic Phil Hellmuth fashion. Even Mike Matusow, one of his closest friends and another poker loudmouth, told him to chill out. But Phil didn't stop.
This is the state of poker. The guy is the worst player in history, and they're cheering. You are an idiot.
4 times.
Did you see what this idiot just did?
5.
Man.
He played with a 10-4,
I had enough of that.
Buddy, that's sick.
I don't care, you're way out of line.
We love to watch the act, but Hellmuth's actions here are deplorable.
I understand. He sucked out on you, but okay, it's poker. It's poker.
He kept going until the floor staff had no choice but to step in, and they actually gave him a 1-round penalty, basically telling him to sit out and cool off. But the very next day, after a private chat with World Series of Poker Commissioner Jeffrey Pollock, the penalty was overturned. Yep, he didn't have to serve it. Only Phil Hellmuth could talk his way out of a punishment for insulting another player on live TV. It was the kind of moment that gets memed and quoted forever. And although it did lead to floor warnings, it is still used to explain where the poker brat persona comes from. That incident is basically viral poker history. In 2024-2025, there was an episode where Phil admitted he crossed the line, even tossing his mic pack in anger.
I don't know who you are, but I'm never going to film with you again.
You just lost a big pot, so let's just
No, I don't give a JRB.
He just apologized.
I'm serious.
I don't give a No, I asked you not to do it. You've been I'm not. I had a guy who was all day yesterday.
Let's play.
Oh! So why do producers and shows keep booking him, even though other players and viewers get sick of the routine? It's simple. He makes good TV. Producers know that broadcasts with Phil cause engagement because viewers tune in for what they can't predict. But that's the one thing about the industry. Drama sells. You'll even find poker in forums and industry write-ups pointing out that personalities like Phil are a producer's dream because they turn a normal, quiet card game into pure entertainment. Other pro players have mixed reactions about this, though. Some openly bait or mock Phil on camera. Others say they enjoy the entertainment even if they wouldn't want to sit at his table every day. Even friends of his have at times told him to calm down at the table. And when it comes to the fans, a chunk of the audience loves the showmanship, the memes, the yelling, the "did he just say that" moments. Another chunk is worn out by the same pattern of tantrums. But no matter how much people hate Phil, there will always be excited shares of the latest meltdown and tired comments saying, "Not again." Yet, both groups still watch, share, and comment to keep things moving. Anyways, if you want a cultural comparison, then I should inform you that Phil functions like other stars, especially the people you love to roast on Twitter, but you still check every headline about them. Think of a Kanye-level headline magnet or a Conor McGregor fight. It's all loud and impossible to ignore. Sure, they piss you off, but you talk about them and they trend again. So it's like this. Phil's antics make people mad, and they make him famous. His fame then guarantees more screen time and more chances to blow up, which creates more content, more hate, and even more fame. It's a self-feeding loop. Alright, we've seen the big blow-ups, the mic throwing and calling his opponents names. But what happens right after the explosion? Who gets mad and who laughs? Let's walk through it. First, when a moment like the no gamble, no future mic toss happens, it didn't end on camera. The chaos after that? Wild. More on that later. People notice fast. Producers, other players, fans in the chat, and the poker press. That episode had Hellmuth slamming his mic and walking off the set, and it immediately became one of those clips that everybody replayed and argued about. It turned into headlines and forced people to close the show to respond. Now, you might think he never owns up to anything, and there's more where that came from. But here's the surprise. After that same incident, he told reporters he had time to think and admitted that he had crossed the line. He said things like that on record more than once, that he recognizes when he's gone too far. Those moments of owning up to his mistakes may not erase the outburst, but they do change the tone from pure villain to I'll do better. But among peers, he's polarizing, respected for results, and criticized for attitude. Among his fans, a big chunk of fans still love Phil so much that they go to his meet and greets, show up for his signings, and post glowing stories about how friendly or generous he was in person. Those wholesome interactions get less viral than a meltdown clip, but they're real. People shake his hand, take photos, and say he was kind and approachable. Which is wild, because 30 minutes later, you might catch him calling someone an idiot on ESPN. At the same time, a loud part of the community is tired. Reddit threads and comment sections are full of "not again" posts. People feel it's the pattern repeating itself, but the fun part of it is that all that frustration shows up in memes, in threads, and in moments when fellow pros publicly call him out. Yet, even the critics can't always look away. They'll still watch the clip, comment, and share it. For Phil, these moments are draining. Public meltdowns often lead to interviews, damage control posts, and sometimes strained friendships. For other players, an episode of Phil losing it can make the table uncomfortable. For producers, it's regarded as both a headache and an asset. A headache because the drama that needs managing, and an asset because drama drives views. Not to seem like we're only talking about the bad side, but Phil does good stuff off camera. Charity events, fundraising poker nights, and genuine fan time. He has a fan base that remembers his help, the selfies, and the stories of him being gracious. He also sometimes apologizes directly, even though not everyone believes his apology, but he does own up in public sometimes, and that matters to a lot of people. Those moments are why some viewers give him second chances. So, what's the real feeling? Most people aren't purely hate or purely love. They love his poker skill and the drama he brings to TV, and they hate the way he treats people at the table sometimes. They'll mock him, but they'll also show up to his events. They'll call him out, and then immediately clip the next meltdown and post it. It's chaos, but the entertaining kind. That push and pull is exactly what makes Phil Hellmuth such a unique character. He's like part villain, part entertainer, and honestly, one of my personal favorites to watch. Let's face it, every show needs that one person who flips the table and gives us something to talk about, right? And that's why, even after decades of controversy, he's still invited to every high-stakes game, because without Phil, poker just wouldn't be as fun to watch. So what do you think? Is Phil Hellmuth the villain poker needs, or he might likely be a sore loser who got famous yelling at luck? Drop your thoughts below. I'm seriously curious to know which side you're on.